Academic knowledge and skills are not enough. And we are called upon in our pathway work to really connect school to work. And I'm excited because in addition to academic knowledge and skills, we know our students need technical skills. We know they need employability skills. We know they need life skills. And that is the approach of our amazing and wonderful pathways that we're all building together in our high schools across California and across the nation. So just to continue that thought, we needed to help teachers understand that. Not just a CTE teacher who understands how curriculum and school connect to industry. We had a need to talk with our math core teachers, our English core teachers, social studies core teachers, arts, sciences, PE, and in our pathways, in our integrated pathways, we wanted them to really understand what are we talking about? What is this integrated thing? I teach math, and I do a great job, and my students are proficient in math. And again, just working with teachers and leaders to have them see, there is a misalignment, and so what can we do about it? So we crafted an essential question: how can we design integrated curriculum and instruction to address the misalignment between education and the workforce? And so this process that we're going to talk about today is really, I've worked with many teams, a couple hundred of different situations, CTE pathways, linked learning pathways, and some of our other technical assistance providers, and have just kind of gleaned the best of the best and created something that worked. It was really aha for our core teachers. It was celebration for CTE and the entire team to really see, okay, now I get it. Now I see that we can integrate, not just in content, but we can integrate our skills and practices, and we can integrate work-based learning. And I see where I fit as a teacher. So it was a very exciting process. We worked with teams to really understand what is curriculum integration. And in polling the teams in advance, one thing I learned is that their thought was, well, we're going to integrate our content. Well, if this is an engineering academy, then maybe the English teacher needs to read engineering books or articles. And the integration was really focused on the content. So we said, yes, that is one point of integration. There are a couple more. Let's keep talking. So it's not like this beautiful building where everything is perfectly in place and you can see the grass is green and the sky is blue and the building is very organized and just beautiful. Integrated curriculum is messy. It is very messy. There's just materials in different places. People are at different levels and understanding, yet having that conversation will really build a much stronger foundation and really offer students not only a relevant experience, but a rigorous experience as well. Forms of curriculum integration, the 4 that we focused on in this training and experience is, number 1, content integration, which really offers the relevancy. The practices and capacities integration, which is the rigor. Work-based learning, which is both rigor and relevancy. And project-based learning. So when you think about designing curriculum for integration, when you think about the content as the theme, the relevancy is there, as we mentioned earlier. Is the rigor there? Reasoning and skills will really be able to offer an experience for students to dig deeper. And if you have teachers in, say, an English, a science, and a math class all working on solving problems and persevering, which connects in all of the skills and practices for those 3 content areas, you really can be assured that you are addressing that rigor piece. This slide shows that having, one teacher and one content area might not be as strong as combining 2 or 3, and then really having skills being at the center of the integration, and then of course with the content, the theme being at the integration. So this is about multiple subject areas, multiple content areas coming together and integrating their curriculum. This particular map is a map that was created by ConnectEd. It shows that the mapping by month is very difficult to change because you have your content knowledge that really is somewhat a fixed sequence for most teachers. And for them to have to move, or for you to as a teacher to have to move your content around, that's not an easy task, is it? However, when you think about addressing one of your practices, or in the case of English, one of the capacities, students' capacities, now that's where you have flexibility. So the integration could come more often. And so this is a really powerful visual because it helps leaders, administrators, and teachers see that there is a way to integrate, even if there is a concern about the fixed sequence in a content area. So why should we design and implement curriculum integration? Why is that so important? In the Tulare Kings region, one of the things that we have been working on for the past 3 years is we really spent a lot of time setting up our academies and designing and developing that structure. And we spent time, building the framework, building relationships and getting that work-based learning off the ground. And time with advisory boards and some time in curriculum and instruction. Yet what I could see as the director of our consortium was the deepening of understanding and really capitalizing on strong curriculum and instruction needed to happen. And how could we help teachers build some kind of structure or a map to build their own understanding rather than us giving? Do this, here, try this project. Building your own understanding as a teacher, as you know, is much more powerful than having somebody give you something and say, do this. So this is why we designed this, because we have very talented, bright teachers. When they work together, they're able to create something very powerful for students, a very powerful integrated experience. This is a picture of the very first curriculum map I did. I'm glad I took a picture of this because I didn't really know how this was going to go. I just was working with a new engineering team and I thought, I need to have them they really need to have conversations about what they each teach and how they might be able to do some kind of integration and where might their work-based learning fit in. I was sort of stumbling into this as a coach. And so this is a first-year teacher. He's a math teacher. He's in an engineering academy. He doesn't know an engineer or had never met an engineer. This was all so new to him. However, when we started curriculum mapping, and by the way, when each teacher presented, you'll notice that there are no standards listed. It's not numbers, it's it's the core topic that they teach by month, because we wanted to make it organic. We wanted to be able to have teachers get their heads around it. We wanted the English teacher to understand this is the topic that is being taught in this particular content area that's not mine, that sort of thing. So what we did was and believe me, this is the first one, and if you can imagine, this was a 6-hour process. It might not look like it, but the conversations were rich. They were deep. These teachers were able to understand from each other, this is what I'm actually doing in my class. These are the kinds of things that I'm doing. This is the curriculum. This is my instruction. And there were just, notes being taken and lots of commonalities identified. So on this very rough map, I think there's a couple things I want to point out. And remember, this is the first time. So if you look in the brown, this is where teachers were able to integrate their practices. And we have that document available for you online with this module. So they decided that these practices and skills would integrate very nicely, and that would be their focus to kick off the year. Just one other thing I want to point out on this map that I think is really, really critical. Remember how I told you that was a first-year teacher? And he was a math teacher, and he knew his math curriculum. This is 10th grade CPM math, and he knew that in October he was going to teach basic trig. But it wasn't until the engineering teacher said, you're teaching basic trig in October? Did you know that Lane Engineering on our advisory board, they have an engineer? That's pretty much what he does all day, every day. He would be not only a great guest speaker, we should have a mentor. We could get him to come in 3 times during October when you're teaching trig, basic trig. Oh, it was a celebration. And so what I experienced in that experience that I kind of stumbled upon was something that we wanted to take to a fuller scale in our region. So we moved forward, and this is more of a detailed map. This is with actually another engineering academy, and we've built maps in about 32 of our 48 pathways now, and in the process of finishing those up this year. This was a very, very valuable experience with this engineering team, because this was a chance for them again to show and tell and share what they taught and how they might be able to integrate it. So this team actually did their curriculum map. Now you'll see that it's up on a wall, and you'll see it's all handwritten, and that is by design. If your team is all very, tech savvy, and you really, really just say, we're going to do it on a computer, I would like to suggest that you project it, and that you can have people come up and talk and present. There's a real added element to that when people are up and talking and sharing and presenting. That is part of the learning. So off of this particular map in Lindsay, not only were they able to talk about their curriculum, talk about the practices, and you can see those in dark green, but they also talked about work-based learning, and out of that came a very organized, timely, project-based learning unit, because it just came naturally. They didn't have to change their district pacing guide. They did not really have to change what they were doing. They found that commonality for a large project, and a large project that was going to go about 8 weeks, and they found a smaller one, like a 2.5 week project that they could easily do. And then pieces and parts of where they could integrate. So this was a very, very valuable project. This map was a map that I initially started when I started, saw when I started doing some research about integrated curriculum. How are people integrating their curriculum? How are they talking about it? What are they doing? And I appreciate this model so much because I believe it sort of started people thinking about how we might do it. And in talking with the teachers who participated here, their comment to me kept saying, well, this is great, but I cannot move my content. I can't move my curriculum. What can we do? So I think we've evolved in the last 2.5, 3 years with curriculum integration. This project is very organic, and it's allowed for deeper learning and implementation with every educator that has participated. I've been really pleased that people have walked away from these trainings with this increased understanding, some shifting maybe of their ideas, but really could see how this could actually work and could be applied. One of the areas where they spent a lot of time improving after the curriculum mapping was really with the formative assessment pieces that led up to the final assessment. So oftentimes we do a project, and I found some teachers, they're really disappointed with the outcome. They're like, well, we had 2 really great presentations and a couple of mediocre, but these other presentations, I don't know what happened. What did I do? What did they do? Or there's how do you ensure that every student's presentation is strong? And so what we did in the Med Academy is we really ensured that we had formative assessments along the way that were measured not only with a rubric or some kind of a feedback tool, they actually had time to revise. And so you can see that there were several assessments along the way for this particular project that led to the final product. And the teachers were extremely pleased with the outcome for the students. And the students all felt very successful because every single project was of high quality. And it really was the design. It is. It's about the design. It's about taking the time, understanding what you're trying to integrate, and really plan and design. It saves time in the end, and the results are very, very strong. There are many great outcomes of this project. One particular outcome was 2 students who, in the You Make Me Ill project, they drew valley fever. And so they researched the disease, they talked to people who had had valley fever, and the final assessment for this particular project is you go out and educate the community, and then you come back and present to the advisory board and your students, your fellow colleagues. And they drew valley fever, and they actually, their presentation, they went out to 3 different crews of farm workers. They took bottled water, they raised money to get masks, and they took them out to the field. They presented to the farm workers in their native language, and it was such an amazing success because they got calls to come back and do a couple more presentations, and those 2 young women were so empowered by the experience that they're freshmen, and they understand. They understand why they're there, why they're in school. School is relevant, and they know this is what I need. This is what I need to own my own learning. It was a very powerful project. Okay, so when you create your curriculum map, it usually takes 45 minutes to an hour for each student. When you create your curriculum map, it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour for each content teacher to present their content in sequential order to the other team members. And these curriculum maps are created in grade level teams. So everyone that's integrating in that grade level, whether it be 2 teachers, 3 teachers, or 4 teachers, participate together. And each content area presents. After the discovery of content is made, then teachers look at a document. Teachers look at a document that clearly outlines their practices, their capacities, and that is another level of learning. They start to connect, draw pictures, draw lines. We do this, you do this? Wow. So they're learning about the practices and capacities, and that's the other integration. And then teachers work together to really align these work-based learning experiences. And I think probably what I share and they share with each other is it's so critical to align these work-based learning opportunities, because the brain is a pattern-seeking device, and it's constantly looking for something to hang this knowledge on. And if you are in an ag academy, say, and you are working on dairy for 6 weeks, and you bring in somebody to talk about seeds and plants, how long would you keep the student's attention? Would that really connect? How critical is it that you really think metacognitively, I need to be connecting with the industry through the topic of dairy, because that's exactly what we're studying. And so teachers have reported, oh my goodness, my instruction strengthened. These industry partners are helping me instruct. These industry partners are really helping to help our students at a younger age. 9th graders understand this is why we're doing these kinds of things. This is why we're doing this kind of math. This is why we're studying this kind of science. This is why I need to research and write. And our industry partners have commented that when they receive the information from the teacher in advance as to what they're teaching, what the focus of their lesson is, that they feel so much more successful too. And I had a personal experience with that myself. I came from industry, and when I first went into classrooms to speak, I failed miserably. After 10 minutes, they were checked out. I mean, I wasn't engaging, I wasn't relevant, I didn't know what they were studying. And I learned that very early as an industry partner. I need to sit down, I need to talk to the teacher, I need to understand what they're doing so that I can be relevant to those students.
So an integrated project is a project that's integrated into the CTE course and the core classes. So at our school, we do our CTE in 2 core classes. So I get to be involved in the freshman integrated project, and we integrate it into our Med Science Exploring Careers class and our biology class and our honors English class. And we actually integrate our projects in our health academy all the way through to the senior year, which I get to be in the senior project also, which is fun. And I do that in AP Environmental Science. And so I integrate it with our ROP, CTE, Med Essentials course. Some process that we've used to integrate our projects is the first year when we were trying to figure out which projects is we kind of do curriculum mapping, and we look at what we teach for the year. All of us do that, and then we look for crossovers, things that could be similar, or sometimes the English teacher will say, oh, I do this book and these are some topics in there, so we can kind of look at what would work. And then we're able to figure out how it can be integrated into all the classes. And so, and then we look at what we're interested in also. So our senior project is, we kind of go with a theme here. So You Make Me Sick is our freshman project. You Make Me Well is our sophomore project. You Make Me Crazy, because it's in psychology, our junior project. And then our 12th grade is You Make Me Lazy. And so it's about health and obesity and different things. So we try to take what we're interested in, what we're teaching, and how can that help our students and our community at the same time. I think if a teacher, a CTE teacher, is looking for a core teacher that would want to integrate with them, I think a teacher that you hear is doing projects, doing things that the kids are talking about, that they like, that they're excited about. Usually those are the teachers that would be interested, that they're already doing things that are challenging them, group projects that are making them think, maybe not a typical maybe lesson, it's just something that the kids are excited about. Usually those are the teachers I would go and ask because they'll be more apt to try something new. We've encountered challenges on with integrated projects is just making sure as we do the curriculum mapping is that we all get busy, and with our NGSS and our Common Core standards, and they all fit into that, but it's making sure that we stick to the calendar so that it fits into our classes. I think some of the wins is them challenging themselves and then seeing the benefit. I had some students last year, they had valley fever, and they were freshmen, and they ended up, because valley fever is more predominant in field workers, and all of them, their family, a lot of them worked in the fields, so they asked one of the labor contractors if they could go, and they actually on their break presented to like 30 field workers and gave them water bottles and talked about if they wear a mask, they're less likely to get it with the soil, and so they handed out masks. They actually sold candy bars to pay for the water in the mask, and they were just so excited because they were helping people they knew. And so just seeing it, it's a win for them because they're learning how to public speak and there's a lot of different things they're learning, and then they're seeing the benefit of it also.
Our integrated project this year is focused on biotechnology, and the idea is to help students understand innovative technologies and their impact in the U.S. In order to identify the integration piece for our project, as teachers we met one day and we sat together, we created a chart that looked at our different curriculums throughout the school year to kind of identify what we were working with each month across English, across biotechnology, across medical chemistry, and figuring out what aligned with where we were at these different times and how we could better fit our curriculum and concepts to align and create depth for our students as we designed our project and integrated that. I am new to the medical academy here, and it has been challenging just approaching chemistry and giving it a medicinal spin-off for my students. I'm familiar with chemistry and I can navigate through that subject, but creating those tie-ins with the outside world for my students and helping them learn how this is going to be applicable when they want to pursue careers in medicine and healthcare. And why is it important now that they understand what we're learning, and in what ways are they expected to apply it later on. In terms of comparing my first year and my second year, last year I taught solely integrated science to 6 sections of students. This year I've added my chemistry course with the Med Academy, and it's entirely different, but I have definitely seen the benefits not only to myself but my students as well. For my students, they've already known each other for a year, they've built these relationships with each other, they trust each other. It's a little easier to get them to work with each other, and they naturally are inclined to work with each other and ask for help from each other than relying on me as the sole person in the classroom to ask questions from. And it's nice to see because they're taking those skills in collaboration and communication with a group of students, and that's something they're going to need once they leave high school and go on to college and whatever fields they decide to enter. So that's a 21st century skill that's being further developed.
I chose to be in the career pathway. No, I chose to be in the med pathway because I used to get sick. I used to get sick a lot when I was little, so I saw that the people in the hospital were taking good care of me. So I want to take care of people too. Okay, so I think that my teachers do a very good job linking their topics, because in my English class we do the writing part of the, for example, uh, in my med class we do like the research part of the diseases and medical stuff, and then in my biology class we do the labs. Okay, so I like how my teachers link their classes because it helps me learn more about the topics. But for example, my math class is more engineer based, has more engineer based topics, so that doesn't like link with my other math classes. And I would like to have teachers that link like all of my classes with the career I'm choosing, or the my elective, the elective I chose. Today we started a new project that has to do with diseases and how diseases spread and the factors that make them grow. And we started in my English class with getting diseases to research about, and now in my biology class we made this lab that we had cups with water, and then we started to like mix them with other partners and find out how diseases spread, how fast diseases spread. And I find out that it is super fast, that diseases spread super fast, just by sharing our water bottles with other people can give us a disease.
Well, I chose the medical pathway because my older sister, she graduated from the med pathway. She told me that it was challenging, but it was also very beneficial, and I, as a student, like challenging situations, so I just took it on, and I really enjoyed it. All as like the classes that we've taken, sports anatomy, honors, chemistry, biotechnology. I would like to make a profession out of forensic anthropology. Well, last year we did a project, it was biomedical debate. And so the classes that we did for that was biotechnology and then English. So we did all of our research and got all of our information and our topics in biotechnology. And then we took that and went to English and we created all of our speeches. I think it's beneficial for us students because it gives us an understanding of the different expectations for each subject that goes into the project. Yeah, I think it is beneficial and helpful if the classes are connected, not just in like project-based learning, but also like communication with other students. Being in the med pathway, we've had classes, like 3 or 4 classes a year together, so we've kind of became like a family, and students and teachers, we know our strengths and weaknesses, so they can apply that to us learning and developing more skills. So last year we had to do a research persuasive speech, and the 2 topics were like if the government should have a say in our diet, and then the other one was if adolescents should have a say in their medical treatment. So my topic was if the government should have a say in our diet. And then, so we did our speech and then we said it in front of the class. And then for med students, there's also a HOSA club and a HOSA competition. And the competition, they have PSA, community awareness, research persuasive speech. So I took the speech that I did in class and I did it in the HOSA competition. And I went to state. I didn't place and go to nationals, but it was beneficial to me.
I picked the Med Academy because I wanted to be challenged. I didn't want to have your regular biology or med classes. I really wanted to see why, like, I wanted to see, is this right for me? Do I want to be in the medical field? And after a year, I learned that I do. My future goal is to go to Berkeley or Johns Hopkins and to go to medical school and be a cardiothoracic surgeon. I decided that I wanted to pursue a career in cardiothoracic surgery because when Ms. Pennybaker invites the guest speakers, it really like lets us know, well, what they do, what they're supposed to, what they accomplish. And it really intrigued me how a cardiothoracic surgeon was speaking, and I don't know what it was, but I just fell in love with it. And that's what I want to do. In my English class, we'll write essays about certain diseases, and in my biology class, we'll do a lab on it or experiment. And in med, we put all of that together and do research on the disease or the curriculum we're learning. It's easier for everything to be incorporated together because it's not just different things. You get more of a well-rounded education on the medicine and English.